Well, howdy, friends, and welcome to the Roundup Podcast. I am your host, Mitch Tidwell, and I have my co-host with me, Kylie Badgley. Kylie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing awesome. Awesome. So Kylie and I are in my home office. We are 6 feet away, social distancing, even as we record this podcast. So it's been a pretty wild time. We, as you know, we don't have our regular music or regular intro. This is truly quarantine edition of the Roundup Podcast. So forgive us for any audio deficiencies you may experience during this podcast. So, hey, Kylie, I want to jump off with this, and then we're going to talk about a few things. But give us a quick update on how quarantine life is going for you.
It's going pretty good. I found some dance workouts to do in my house, and
by dance workouts, you mean TikTok dances?
Well, both. I found some on YouTube and some on TikTok. And then I have 2 roommates. So
by the way,
not too bad.
What dance workouts are these?
It's like this girl. Her name's Allie Rose. She's not like the most amazing dancer. No offense if you somehow listen to this, but she's just fun and energetic. So she just does like dances, but they're kind of like a mix of dance workouts. So like you do kind of like workout moves mixed with dance.
So it's like, is it Zumba?
No, it is not Zumba.
Jazzercise?
Not a 50-year-old lady.
Hey, don't be throwing shade on those ladies.
I'm not. Zumba's good.
Awesome. I love it. Well, cool. So we, I guess, well, let me give an update real quick. So we had William February 18th, which is our firstborn son. He just hit 2 months old, or he just hit 9 weeks old on Tuesday. So we are, I've basically been quarantined ever since then. I came back to work for 1 week, and this is what we've been. So it's been actually a really sweet time for us. I say that knowing that, for other people, it hasn't been that sweet of a time. But God has been very gracious to our family. So anyways, so we had last week, we had Roundup Week, which is, so we have Texas Roundup that happens in May 13th. It was going to happen May 13th through the 15th in Austin. Had to cancel it. We had to cancel it. And so we decided, you know what, let's do Roundup Week. And so we talked to our lead team, and they were like, hey, we want to meet in person. Obviously we can't do that now, but let's just at least do something online. So we put together an online event. We didn't want to do all day because that just seems like really exhausting. Everybody's Zoom fatigue. So just like a little bit a day. So we did 10 a.m. sessions with collegiate staff and adult leaders. And we did a 7:30 session at night for student leaders. And it really went pretty well, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And people liked it, honestly, a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, I know. When I was looking at, because I think we put that together in like 2.5 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
We opened the registration up a week and a half before we actually did it. But it obviously we were like, hey, let's do this. It's navigating a new normal of college ministry. So we brought in all kinds of folks. And by the way, if you didn't get to catch that, we actually have created a Roundup Week toolbox that has all the videos, all the session material, PDFs, all that kind of stuff. We put those in a Google Drive. If you'll join our Facebook group, we have a link for that in there. It's just Roundup Network on Facebook. Just click join. You'll have to answer a few short questions and make sure you're doing college ministry. But you can get in there and you can get into that. It was super, super helpful. We actually had 351 people registered from 31 states and 3 countries. And we even did the Affinity Group Collaborative on Friday, which we had, I think, about 30 different ministries sign up for, somewhere around there. So
yeah, it was really, really good.
Because you even got to do it. I mean, well, of course you helped put it on, but then also you joined with your church to do it as well. So you were kind of in on everything.
Yeah, I really liked it. And like one of my roommates, she's in our college ministry and she's a college student, and she got a lot out of it. She's talked about it like several times when other people, like she's been talking to other people, and she's like, yeah, at Roundup I learned this, and I'm like, oh, she really
that's awesome.
Liked it because she keeps talking about it. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Well, cool. So yeah, we're excited about that. I think we learned a ton from that on, not that we ever want to be just a strictly online base of what we do, but we, physical gatherings is so important just for community and collaboration. But we learned a lot. That was good stuff. All right, Kylie, I got a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So what is something, and by the way, here's where we're going today. So we're chatting back and forth, but we also have a couple of college ministers that we're going to bring on to ask how they're experiencing quarantine, how they're ministering. And honestly, we just want to have a little fun with them too. So we hope this is an encouraging podcast for you, but I'm going to start here with Kylie. Kylie, what is something you do now that you wouldn't have done before quarantine life? Like a new, I don't know, kind of rhythm of life, or I don't know, just, I'll keep it broad.
Yeah. I think it's probably like a boring answer, but honestly, I didn't really like rest that much, or I've just slowed down since quarantine, because I used to just have stuff every single night of the week almost, and just like going, and now I'm just like have so much time, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, and sometimes I'm like, I should be doing something, but so yeah, I think that's something that I wasn't doing that I'm doing now. That's been pretty good.
Just right. Yeah, I would have to agree. I feel like the Lord in my life has put. It's like He's just hit the e-brake in some sense. And one of the things that I even wrestle with is how much if the Lord is kind of hitting the e-brake during this time. Yes, there's still the Great Commission. Yes, we still advance the gospel, but I feel like there's a needed time of rest and reflection that needs to happen, which I think is hard. It's hard for me because I'm like, I find identity around activity, and then when I can't do activity, it feels like I'm useless or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, or whatever. So
yeah,
it's good. All right, so here's the next one. What's going to be now since quarantine? What is going to be like a new normal for you? Like, this wasn't a regular rhythm, but now post quarantine life, like you say, like I've learned this, and this is something that I need to keep doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to keep slowing down, and I've been going outside a lot more, and like I just, all of this just reminds me of like how it was whenever I was in elementary school or junior high. Like, life was just slower, and I went outside more, and like the other day, my brother and I just played volleyball and like threw the football in the yard, and I was like, wow, I really miss this. Like, I don't know why I stopped this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I'll just keep, like going outside, and probably whenever people can gather again, I'll like go play sand volleyball again, because I haven't played in a while. So.
Yeah. Man, that's a really good, it feels like you're going back to middle school or something. That's very true, because even, I guess, with our, Livy would work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I would work similar, and I would travel a lot. So by the time we got home, it's like we were just ready to be home, put everything to rest, lay down, watch the TV, go to bed, that kind of thing. But I feel like in this season, we've been outside a lot more, walking a lot more, and it almost feel in some sense like I feel like a kind of healthier in some ways, although it's totally thrown off my rhythm with God and activity, those kind of things. Like, I feel like it is really, in some ways, I've become healthier as far as deeper connections with family. I feel like even just getting outside, because I think being outside in nature is really super, I feel like just really help. I don't know, it's something about vitamin D that's very spiritual and gives me life.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, hey, we want to bring on, we're going to bring on our friend, Jared Gregory. Jared, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Man, we are good. We are just enjoying social distancing. We're 6 feet apart. We're doing everything right. So, but we realized we got to get some more podcast stuff out. So we wanted to just jump on with you, man, and talk about, man, how quarantine life is going as a college minister. So, hey, real quick, Jared, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, man, yourself, your family, your role, and what church you're at?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as Mitch said, my name is Jared Gregory. I'm the college pastor at First Baptist Denton with a ministry that we call Overflow. Been in ministry for quite a while. Most of the years of ministry background are in youth ministry. And so I've done college ministry now for about 2 years. And been married for 16 years to my ministry partner and wife, Julie. We have 3 kids. We have a son, Jackson, who is 13 years old. We have a daughter, Georgia, who is 10. And then we have a little surprise bundle of joy, God's blessing, Judah, who is 2.5.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's making quarantine quite the entertaining pattern here.
Yeah. So you're now like college minister, homeschool teacher, cafeteria lady, like all that combined.
Yes,
Right now?
all of that rolled into one. Teenagers and toddlers at the same time. So
Oh man.
yeah,
Wow.
quarantine
Man.
is wonderful. We're actually currently taking advantage of some opportunity. My family owns a beach house down near Galveston, and so we're quarantining away from campus at the moment, but just enjoying a couple days of looking at the coast. But
Oh man.
But yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah,
Oh, that's incredible, man. Hey, what a luxury to have during this
I
time.
know, right? I know, right?
I've got a park out at my neighborhood that's needs to be mowed. That's about as in
There
a
you
dirty creek. Oh
Wonderful,
man.
wonderful.
Well, cool. Well, hey, tell us. So you're First Baptist Denton. You minister at Overflow. You've been doing that. Did you say is that you just hit 2 years, right?
Yeah, so actually the rolling over to May will be the completion of 2 years.
Okay, awesome. And what schools do y'all minister to?
Yeah, so we're primarily on the University of North Texas with about 38,000 students there. And then Texas Woman's University. Both of those campuses are about a mile away from the church. CW's on-campus presence there in Denton is just a little over 12,000. And then, just in North Texas, there's a lot of different commuter schools and things like that. North Central Texas College, Tarrant Community College, we just have a lot of students coming in from various places. So represent a lot of different universities, but primarily University of North Texas and Texas Woman's University.
Awesome, man. That's great. Well, hey, I'd love to. So we're doing this episode podcast on just kind of quarantine, how we've experienced it, and then would love to just hear from some college ministers like yourself. So what's kind of the overall? What has kind of been your whole experience from a college ministry leader perspective on kind of how all this has unfolded for you?
Yeah, so it's just easiest way to put it is it's just been odd. You just don't feel like you were able to end well. Usually there's just so much celebration at the end of a semester, and with that being cut short, it just feels like the chapter didn't get completed. And so it's just odd timing and just an odd feel. Trying to do ministry remotely it's been an odd experience, but it's something you just have to kind of dig into and embrace the change and keep going after it.
What is something that you feel like in the midst of all this that the Lord has kind of taught you about in general or about ministry, but what's kind of been the biggest kind of takeaway thus far that you've experienced?
Yeah, so I think for me, one of the reminders is that the come and see attractional style ministry, while those gatherings and events can be fun and they can be energizing and they can be highly rewarding, they can reach a lot of people. That's just it's not as sustainable of a model of ministry. You have to equip and engage students to reach where they are. And if you're asking people to come see you, well, especially in this time, that's just not happening. So you have to invest in your leaders. You have to invest in your students to be the mission-minded engagers, influencers, and to go find the people that they need to engage with the gospel.
Man, that's a really, really good word. It's, and in fact, at Roundup Week last week, I think Josh Martin's the one that said, we're having to change our mind and think about how do we equip almost like our students to basically be pastors, leading on a small micro level. So man, that's really good. Where have you seen students kind of exceed expectations in this period, or kind of, I guess, have been impressed with how they have led out during this time?
Yeah, so I've just been really impressed with their ability to roll with what's in front of them. They've had to learn very quickly how to shift their entire school responsibilities online, and yet have been eager and excited to find new ways of reaching their groups, their communities. And immediately when this quarantine went into effect, we made the decision that our Tuesday night gatherings would be put on hold. I kind of fell, and maybe just as bad on my part, but I kind of fell into the mindset that for the most part, people aren't coming to Overflow for the amazing content, the worship leaders, and we've got a great team that teach and lead out. But people are primarily coming for community. And so I made the decision early on that we were going to kind of cease some of our large gathering worship events and try to really put all of our emphasis into our communities, which were, on campus or in apartments and those things prior to spring break. But coming back from spring break, we shifted those to obviously the virtual online formats, and been really pleased with the way our leaders have just really bought in and engaged in that whole process, and not fought against it, but have just kind of leaned in on that and said, yeah, whatever we've got to do to continue to engage our communities and to reach, obviously this broadens the reach of your ministry. Yeah. Used to, you were only trying to reach those that had the time and space and physical proximity to where you were. But now, as long as people can log on, they can join in from anywhere. And so we've seen a few new students gather into our online communities and engage with us that way, and that's been great.
Awesome, man. Hey, what's another last question I have for you here is what's the biggest question that you have moving forward that you're just trying to get figured out?
I think that's the question, for the same question that so many others are asking, is what does the future look like going forward? I have the incredible benefit of standing on the shoulders of some giants that have preceded me in this ministry, and so they built a large ministry. We could have anywhere from 250 to 400 students on a Tuesday night come and join us, and that presents a bit of a problem when you start talking about how to engage in some of those worship environments, yet maintaining proper distancing, maintaining ratios that are manageable. And so for us, it's listening to what the local leadership is saying, not only state but county and city leadership of what our capacities can be, and just trying to figure out, like, how do we roll back into a new norm, and at what point, do our campuses open back up in the fall for life as normal, or do they continue that pursuit online? And so I'm asking a lot of the same questions that a lot of other people are asking, is what does a new norm look like? Right now, we're planning as if school will continue to remain online, continuing on our end to invest in our small groups and virtual gatherings and things like that. But if the Lord wills and we can open back up and resume large worship activities, we'll do that as well, and hopefully get back to some normalcy. But if not, then we'll find what that new norm looks like.
Yeah, I feel like college ministry is in a little bit better, position, because there is kind of at least maybe a summer break, maybe things can get back to normal, but it's still, in fact, I read an article the other day by, I think it's at Higher Ed. I can't remember the website, but it was basically 15 different scenarios for coming back in the fall. And so, it's be anxious to kind of see how all this unfolds. Well, hey, Jerry, we want to play just a would you rather game with you real quick. Man, we want to have some fun here. So I'm going to toss this over to Kylie, and she's gonna peg you with some questions, and we're really going to get to know who you are just under the surface. You're so Kylie, go ahead.
You may not want that.
Okay, so the first one I have is, would you rather never set foot in your home country again, but be able to travel the world, or stay in your country forever and never be able to leave?
Gosh, that's I'm gonna have to say I would probably prefer to remain in the U.S., never being able to leave. Although I'd love travel, like I really enjoy getting out there. But I mean, this is home, right? Like you gotta, people are.
Yeah, that would be hard. Okay, would you rather have to move cities every year and never return, or never be able to leave the city you were born in?
Oh, the city you were born in, or the city you're currently in? Because I'm already away from the city I was born in.
That's a good point.
That's a tough one. I prefer not move every year. Moving is no fun, but at the same time, anything that doesn't require me packing up a house and loading it onto a truck is a good thing.
Yeah. What city were you born in?
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you miss it?
I do. There are certain elements about that neck of the woods that I miss, but my wife is a native Texan and in the DFW area, and so this equally feels like home for us to be in North Texas.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, would you rather have to tell on your best friend or wife for committing a crime, or serve time on their behalf?
Oh, I think I'd absolutely have to serve time, because that probably would result in less punishment than if I were to tell on her. So I would be playing it safe to serve the time on her behalf.
Okay, would you rather always be overdressed or always be underdressed?
Oh, goodness, that's a tough one. Dude, I'm pretty casual most of the time, so I would prefer to be underdressed. But man, there's just those moments that you walk into a room and you're like, ooh, I am out of my element here. There's nothing like walking into a new church Easter service and everybody's dressed up and you're the one like, oh, so this isn't like every other Sunday. Nice. Thanks for the heads up, guys.
Yeah.
No, I'd have to go a little more casual than dressing.
Yeah. Okay, last one. What would you rather talk about if someone said you never have to speak of the coronavirus or the quarantine again, but you have to speak about blank instead?
Well, if we're gonna pull out some of the the spiritual answers, like if I had to stick to a topic and it wasn't ministry related, I would say college football. I can talk college football for hours. Love college athletics in general, but football mostly. But I mean, if we're just sincere answers, I would say we've got to talk about our faith and what it is we believe. But the fun answer for sure would be college football.
Hey. What's your college football team?
So I'm a big University of Tennessee Volunteers fan.
Oh, the fake UT.
That's where I'm. Oh no, the original UT.
Kylie's a Longhorn.
I gotcha. Yeah, a lot of times down here when I talk to people about UT, they're confused because they think I'm speaking of the other UT. And I said, no. The university that existed before Texas was a state. And that's not met with a lot of grins and
I bet
smile.
not.
Cool. Okay. That was fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jared. Thanks for being on with us today, man.
Yeah. No problem. We're going to see if we can eat an early lunch and head to the beach for a little bit.
Oh, amen. Golly, I'm jealous. I'm stuck in Fort Worth, Texas. I love Fort Worth, but the beach sounds better right now.
It's a mess right now, though.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks, Jared.
All right.
See you next time.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. All right. Well, that was good. It's good to get to hear from Jared and just kind of get a take on really, man, what he's experiencing at Overflow. I know Overflow's always been a big ministry at the University of North Texas and for Texas Women's, and really they've, that their midweek event has been a great tool in reaching. And so I can imagine just the thoughts on that tool being stripped. And so how are we reaching? How are we going to develop students? So good stuff from Jared. All right. Hey, next up we have Mr. Kent Carroll. Kent, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm living my best quarantine life.
Yeah.
This is the first polo I've thrown on in like a month. So.
Awesome. This is my second one. I wore my Dallas Cowboy draft day polo on draft day, but that was about it.
Fair enough.
Well, all right. So me and Kent have something in common. We both have. So wait, is Reed? Is he about to hit 2 months old?
He's 2 months 3 days ago. So
2
he's
months.
actually at his like 2 month checkup right now.
Oh, awesome, man. So we just hit, so William is, so he just hit 9 weeks on Tuesday. So when was y'all's due date?
The original due date was like the 20th.
Okay.
So we went a little longer, but
Yeah, y'all went longer and then we went shorter because ours was March 4th, but he ended up being on the 18th of February. So, well, cool. Well, man, hey, we wanted you to jump on, Kent, and real quickly, I know we've already kind of jumped in talking about family life, but so our audience can kind of get to know you, man. What's your, man, tell us a little bit about your family, your church, the role you're in, and who you minister to.
yeah, Kent Carroll. I'm at Redeemer Church in Lubbock, Texas. Married to Mandy for a little over 5 years. We met at Texas Tech, and we have our firstborn son, Reed, who we just mentioned, who's 2 months old now. And I'm the college director there. I went to Texas Tech, where I met my wife. We were involved with Redeemer then, left for a few years to Midland, and came back actually as a church planting resident at Redeemer. So I've been at Redeemer since 2017. I was a church planting resident. I've also ran our residency program for the last few years, kind of in addition to working in a role with an organization called Reliant, helping people raise support. So I've done that, but then last January, I took over the college ministry, and it's been a blast. So I'm about a year and a half into this role, and we serve the campuses of Texas Tech, Lubbock Christian University, and then South Plains Junior College. It's in Levelland, which is about 20 minutes away. They have a Lubbock campus, and not most, but a ton of students that drive out there live in Lubbock. And so those are kind of our worlds we hit, and we have a good time with it. We love it.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, we asked, we had just had Jared Gregory on, wanted to have you on just kind of getting the, just takes on, man, how you guys are experiencing quarantine and all the kind of craziness that comes with it. What's been, because I mean, what, like two major life transitions for you? You have your first child, and then you have the COVID crisis. So, man, kind of give us a small snapshot of what you've been experiencing and how you've been processing everything.
Yeah, as far as like the transition to having a newborn, I definitely don't want to speak about COVID like it's a positive thing. It's not, but in that very nuanced, niche way that you're probably seeing, that's actually probably been a small grace in the midst of having a newborn and me adjusting to a new sleep world and feeling like my capacity was limited. I had about 2 weeks of work where I'd gone back into the office after my son was born, and it was still normal. We were getting ready for spring break mission trips, and I was so frustrated with how my personal capacity had strengthened or not strengthened, had been diminished because lack of sleep. And my mind's just like, man, I have a son now, and just being that much more drawn to be home and stuff. It was an adjustment. And then, everything comes to a screeching halt. And so personally on the home life, that's probably been a good thing for us because I'm still working and, trying to steward our time really well and be productive, but I definitely can go change a diaper, have hands. Yeah. And so as far as personally transition, being home more has been fun. I know I'm not going to ever get to be with my firstborn kid in this stage again. So it's like, that's been sweet to probably see more. But on the work side, man, it's just been a whole new world. And I know everyone that's listening to this is experiencing that. And on the work side, it's just been trying to figure out like, how do you lead a staff that so many of their roles was in-person relationships? How do you rework their jobs and responsibilities to do that? How do you then further down that kind of line, how do you help our student leaders engage in ministry and discipleship? How do you help students at large? How do we reach the lost? Like all of that, it's like every playbook got thrown out. And so there's a little bit of bewilderment, a little bit of fatigue, but it's also, for me, I like change. So it's also kind of a cool challenge to try to figure out. So
yeah.
I have a mix of emotions.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like in the front end, it was ready to get back to normal. But then I think with, just like you said, I know that a lot of people have experienced a lot of sorrow and grief during this time, but with the newborn. That's been it's been really a just grace that, you know, hey, I can at lunch I can pop over to the kitchen and have lunch with you know, my wife and my newborn. So that's good, man. Well, hey, question I got for you is, man, what do you really think you know, after you process for maybe over the last month or a couple months, what's the Lord been teaching you in this season?
Yeah, probably overall, there's probably two big things he's taught me that I feel particularly passionate about right now. One is that, or this is applicable to both. Both of these things I would have said I believed 2 months ago, but like the Lord often does, I'm now like that. That's been exposed that I didn't really believe it, but I believed it in my head, but in the way that I lived my life and the things I did and just my heart posture, I've realized like I didn't really believe that. One is that God loves myself, my students, my family, our church, the church, way more than I do, and way more than way better than I can with my full capacity and effort and energy and freedom to do it as I had normally done it. Like my ability to love and care about the church and experience God and grow in Him. God's way more passionate about that, and He's not remotely hindered by all this. And so I've just been super encouraged that the gospel's still moving forward, that I'm still able to meet with God. The church is still the church, even though it's not confined to this space anymore or meeting time. And that's been really sweet to see. And then the second thing is this thing that we say a lot in our ministry at Redeemer College is prayer is ministry. And so I felt really, again, like I've just had like a hedge around what I'm able to do, or not a hedge of protection, but like I'm limited, a barrier. Yeah. But what we've really realized is that prayer is ministry. So as we pray for our students sometimes that's all we can do because they won't answer or already talked to them, or we can't go see them. We can't go meet the new ones that we don't even know, but we can pray for them. And then God moves through that. And so our staff as a whole has really stepped up its engagement in prayer and just realized that actually that's a great way to minister to our people, even though it doesn't feel as productive by our normal standards. It's actually very productive, and actually maybe we had probably been under praying beforehand. So those would be my things. Yeah,
that's good. Hey, where have you seen students really exceed your expectation in this time of, you know, in whatever way? It could be in ministry or just what's been impressive to you about some of your students?
Yeah, and I think about some students that have, and I think this is, for me, coming from a family where I did not grow up talking about spiritual things within my home dynamic. We've had students for the first time engage their families with the gospel, inviting them to watch church with them, inviting them to read the Bible with them. And I know so many Christians that, and college students in particular, that are really missional on the campus because their life's been changed by the gospel, and they're all in. And when they go home, it's like the hardest thing because it just pulls them back to that environment where that wasn't normal. And so I've seen some, actually, maybe it took a couple weeks for some and some right away, different stories, but I've seen so many of our students engage their non-believing family. That's been the most encouraging thing and challenging even to me as I, engage with my personal family. That's been huge. So
that's awesome. What's been the biggest question that you've had moving forward? What's like, if you could just wave a magic wand and say, I wish I could get this question answered about this time or during this time, what would that be?
Yeah. Man, I thought about this and, I think my first thought was like, what's it going to be? So I'm going to give you two. I'm going to cheat. The first thing was like, what's the fall going to be? That's probably the biggest question, but that I had off the top of my head. But when I thought about it a little more, I think the biggest question I have right now is like, what is actually making our students feel cared about? So that's like our number one goal is that our students that we do know to different levels would feel cared about by our church family. And so we've tried some things and we're taking any ideas we can get. But I just love to know like what is really creating a sense of, man, I'm part of the church and they haven't forgot about me and they really do care about me within our students. And so we ask them, but even still, I just love to know like what's really.
Man, what a great question. I think one of the things is when we put on Roundup last week that we were wanting that collaborative, communal feel, people feel cared about, part of community. And that is so hard to figure out how to do that in a digital and virtual way. I just don't know how you can do that. I mean, I'm sure if you give us a long enough period of time, maybe we'll figure it out, but there's just nothing like person to person, shoulder to shoulder, one-on-one connection with folks. So, man, well, that's good. Well, hey, I'm going to toss it to Kylie. Kylie's got a couple of questions, so we're going to get to know the real Kent Carroll here with some Would You Rathers. And so I'm sure you'll be pretty entertaining here. So, Kylie, I'm going to kick it to you.
All right, so I have Would You Rather questions. The first thing I want to know is, would you rather live without music or movies for the rest of your life?
Man, that's tough. Music or movie. So in my life, I'm gonna say movies. And I don't know if I would have said that a couple years ago, but my wife, it's not that she like dislikes movies, she's just not that engaged with it. Like she's gonna fall asleep, or she doesn't want to watch a lot of movies I want to watch. And so, I wouldn't say I live without movies now, but it's definitely changed in my life. And music would be tough because just driving the car, church, singing, like I grew up watching musicals all the time, which is kind of like music and movies, but I would definitely say movies. So.
Cool. Okay, would you rather only be able to wear one color for the rest of your life or have to wear 6 colors every day?
Oh, man. Well, I pretty much only wear one color now. I wear just gray all the time. Both our cars are gray. That makes me sound so boring.
But you're an Enneagram 7, though. That's the funny part. So you're the enthusiast.
This is what's interesting. And I'm literally wearing a gray shirt now.
Yeah, you are.
What's interesting is I think it's like I watched like a minimalism documentary a while ago, or maybe I'm comparing like 4 movies or documentaries, and they were talking about people that think like I do, which Enneagram 7, you love fun and change.
Yeah.
You get vision fatigue, and you need to find some things in your life to simplify.
Yeah.
And so almost every shirt I own is gray or blue. And it's not like, I have a few others, but I would say I could do the one color a lot easier than I could 6.
That sounds good.
Great. That's a good one.
Okay, would you rather have, this kind of gross, but would you rather have all the pimples you'll ever have in your life on your body for 3 weeks, like all at the same time, and then never get a pimple again, or get pimples at a regular rate for the rest of your life?
I'm gonna go with all the pimples for 3 weeks. I think quarantine has shown us like we can do more than we thought we could. And it's like if we can enact it today, I know like in Texas they're slowly opening up, but I think I could just camp out for 3 weeks and that's what I'm gonna go with.
I feel like that's an easy one to pick if you're already married, but if you're not, you're like, what if my husband like comes into my life at this time when I have every pimple ever?
That's out. But then how much would you know he's really for you?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He loves like pimple filled.
Or you could just really spiritualize it and say, I'm going on a 3-week fast, and just spiritualize the whole thing. And there you go. You get through the pimples, spend time with the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay, would you rather live in a world with no toilet paper or no soap?
Oh, man.
We kind of half live in that world right now.
So basically, you're going to smell, or you got to find an alternative, which is kind of gross to think about. So I think I'm going to go with no toilet paper. I think you'd have to adjust. There's a great Office quote. I don't know I'll give it here. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with no toilet paper. People live for thousands of years with no toilet paper, so we'd be okay. We'd figure it out.
Are you going with the Dwight Schrute's quote?
Yeah. That's like an Easter egg for this podcast. If you can figure that out.
That's right.
Okay, then last question. I'm gonna ask you what I asked Jared too. What would you rather talk about if someone said you never had to speak about the quarantine or the coronavirus again, but you have to speak about blank instead?
Man, our staff, we do these, would you rather things every now and then at staff meetings, or we do debates over where we're going to eat lunch, and we pick sides, and I'm usually one of the representatives as the debater, so I don't have a problem talking about a lot of things. So I'm trying to think what I would pick. I mean, probably just all things basketball. Again, not playing. Have my kids. He's not even big enough to throw a ball in here, but I have the hoop ready, and I love basketball. I grew up a basketball coach's son, and yeah, probably anything basketball related. Similarly, I love it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Well, that was fun. Thanks for playing.
I have one for you.
Okay.
I will ask one for y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, would you rather have college ministry be digital forever?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you get to still engage college students, equip college ministers, all that, but it's all how it's been via quarantine. Online, digital, all that. Or would you rather still be able to do that, but every Sunday forever you were kids ministry, first grade, Sunday, like that's your primary ministry now. Little first graders changing diapers.
Okay, wait, so repeat one more time, because I kind of got stressed out when you said the digital.
You'll get to do college ministry all the time, but it's all digital, how it's been in quarantine, or basically your full-time kids, specifically, that's like your main focus.
Oh, man. Well, first graders.
You're going first grade. Hey, Kylie, what about you?
No, so I was just trying to get the scenario right.
Maybe it just means you're that passionate about college.
So if it was 4th or 5th grade, I would totally take that, because my humor level is on a 4th or 5th grade level, and I tend to really connect well. Those are my people. But it's college ministry, though.
Digital college ministry. What about you, Kylie? College ministry.
No, I think I'd go with kids, because I do not like all these Zoom calls. Yeah. I would still I live with a girl in college, so I would just use that as an excuse to I would just
cheat on the would you rather. That's okay.
Oh man, awesome. Well, hey Kent, thanks for jumping on with us today, man. Appreciate your just answering the questions, and I thought you had some really good stuff to say. I think it'll be helpful to college leaders, man. So thanks, dude.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, man. All right, well, that is it for today, man. Really enjoy getting to have Jared and Kent on just to think about. And I think that's a couple of things that I'm taking away from that. Again, with Jared, a lot of ministry set up as a come and see type model. Obviously, things like this change that. So how do we reposition to equip students to basically be, because think about this. If the capacities, if they just continue to incrementally allow people to gather. So let's just say they say, hey, well, you can only gather 20 at a time. Well, that means that you can only have your community groups meet, which means your primary vehicle of ministry is community groups. And so your total investment is in those leaders. So how do we equip them to really be not just facilitators, but leaders in those? And I think another thing that Kent said, just talking about really caring for students, and that's something that I haven't got figured out, is how do we really help people feel loved for, cared for, known in a digital world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think one thing that immediately comes to mind when he said that is just how, I forgot, it was on one of these Zoom calls, they all blur together, but someone said, if everyone's invited, no one's invited. Yeah. So I think just trying to find ways to personalize things, whatever it may be, and, maybe trying to figure out, like, sending out the love language quiz and be like, what's your love language? So then they can figure out how to best be cared for individually.
So I need to send, guys, let me know your love language so I can care for you.
We should just remake it.
Kidding.
Let's make it your care language.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Well, something that living out, with our church, we're going to have a couple of the seniors that are graduating. We're just going to have one at a time, have them over at the house to have dinner. Obviously not a big group gathering, but just trying to think of something to create a personal touch. And I think that's what, and of course, I'm always big picture. She's always I'm macro, she's micro. I think about things, she thinks about people. And so that's been something that's been really helpful, I think, for me, and challenging for me, is to really, it's almost, really have to concentrate and think personally because we don't have all the options available. So that's good. Mm-hmm. Man, all right, guys. Well, thanks for being on with us today at the Roundup Podcast. Sorry if there was, I realized that our audio and all that stuff is probably not going to be as good as it was. This is definitely quarantine edition. But thanks for hanging with us. Hey, subscribe to the podcast, like it, review it, share it on your social media. Follow us on social media at SBTC Collegiate. We even have a Facebook group called Roundup Network. Jump in there. It is just a statewide gathering of college leaders, just idea sharing, collaborating. So we'd love to have you a part of that. So I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.